So getting back to the New Kingdom, one of the first pharaohs we're going to see about 2 years after Akhenaten passes is King Tutankhamen, who reigns from 1333 to 1323. He rules for 10 years, but he dies at the age of 18. So very, very young. And what he leaves us is an amazing tomb because, well, at the end of the day, he's not a major pharaoh. No one's going to look for his tomb, whereas almost every other tomb, even the Valley of the Kings, is going to be looted at various times. They even start moving mummies and sometimes daddies to different tombs to try and safeguard them. But we're not seeing that here. So even though his tomb is not the most luxurious, the discovery in 1922 propels him to stardom. The body was found intact with a death mask of gold laid on top. And this gold death mask is definitely idealized. So we see that very smooth skin, that very idealized facial form. It is gold. It is made out of basically gold that is beaten from behind and formed into shape. And then we have different elements added to it. This would have been put over the body. The body, of course, covered in linen and dried flowers, probably part of the ceremony associated with his entombment. The blackening that you see is oftentimes resins that they use to negate smells, incense, materials that are going to discolor over time. Now, looking at the body and the death mask, as well as the sarcophagus, that death mask, of course, being something that sort of captures his image, that would have been inside of the innermost coffin, which is what we're seeing here. And there are different levels to this sarcophagus. But the innermost coffin is made out of wood covered in gold and then carved. And what he's doing is he's holding a crook and flail. Now, the crook is a shepherd's crook. The idea of a leader leading his people, much like a shepherd leads his sheep, is something quite common, and we see it in that imagery used in religion today as well. The flail, indicating that he is capable of punishing. He can be very militaristic and disciplinary, should it be necessary, or he's a fan of 50 Shades of Grey. And then we have these vultures protecting the body. We have the pharaonic headdress, everything made out of gold. And the eyes, you'll notice, are missing because the eyes of the inner death mask would have shone through that. The other materials, the blue, the turquoise, the red, these are all semi-precious stones. The blue being lapis, of course, from Afghanistan, being very, very expensive for the time. In that death mask, we see similar ideas. So here again, we see the various stones. Let me go back here. The various stones, they're used, lapis, a form of turquoise, a form of garnet. These are all stones that would have been rare because of where they came from. We see the blue, that enameled blue. So this is glass powder mixed with other materials and fired to create that effect. All of it speaking to his status, even pierced ears giving the sense that there were in fact earrings there. And you'll notice he looks a little older than most 18-year-olds. And this is important because the Egyptian people don't really need to know that they're being ruled over by an 18-year-old. No one really wants that. No one wants to put 18-year-olds in power, no matter how much they think they know. So they're idealizing the form because at the end of the day, while not powerful, he is still pharaoh. Inside the tomb, we also find a painted chest. And the painted chest itself is rather interesting because it depicts King Tut as a warrior. Although he was probably too young to fight, he probably wouldn't have gone to war. In fact, he dies because he falls off a chariot and breaks his leg, which becomes gangrenous. But the imagery is traditional and has a specific message. Again, art must communicate. So here he is defending Egypt from its enemies, symbolically in this case. And we see this imagery on all sides, or similar imagery on all sides of this chest. Inside the chest, there were scrolls. Those scrolls would have helped him get to the afterlife. And these would have been a collection of spells and prayers associated with the cult of Osiris. See, King Tutankhamen, as well as his father, Tutankhamun's grandson to Akhenaten, will be returning Egypt to the old ways, to the old religion. And so they're going to hold on to these, for the time, conservative, these very specific views. And that's going to be important and necessary because they're trying to renew what Egypt was. Now, the scrolls in here will help the dead pass tests and move on to the afterlife, because there are a series of tests and judgments that he would have had to go through.